Welcome to the premiere episode of Parareality, the TV show. I'm your host, Sandman. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this first historic broadcast premiere of Parareality, formerly Parareality Radio, which aired on the airways, on the radio. Wow, that was brilliant. Which aired on the radio, internet radio, and actual terrestrial radio for 5 years. Last signed off the air in December of 2008. Unknown whether I was ever going to come back to the realm of broadcasting again. And lo and behold, here I am, right here on television, internet television nonetheless. Internet is a great thing. It's allowed me to do so much with my career. And here I am back again. For many of you who were fans of Parareality Radio, this is your first look at me. Never really showed my face on my radio show because it was a radio program. Never had pictures of myself on my website. Kind of kept with the whole, I felt anyway, the whole mystique of the show. But I finally decided to show my face for radio here on television. And I am proud to be back in the world of broadcasting. And I'm here in a brand new, so to speak, Parareality studio. As you can see here behind me, there's the wall of fame. It's got all my diplomas, degrees, certificates, all the things that have gotten me absolutely nowhere in life. Got them hanging on the wall there behind me to kind of, I don't know, that's the I guess, bragging rights. But anyway, it's been a long time since a lot of you have heard from me. I've kept in touch with a few loyal fans from the radio program over the past couple of years. Sent a few emails out, but not a lot. Didn't want to bombard everybody, make everybody think that I was really full of myself, more so than what I am. So basically, this show tonight, this premiere episode, this pilot episode, if you will, is basically just going to be a filler, going to let you know what I've been doing, what I've been up to the past couple of years, and how I got to where I am right now. And basically, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the new show, the new Parareality. Obviously, the big change is that it's no longer radio. It is web TV. And the show, instead of a 2-hour-long show, is going to be a 30-minute, a half-hour television talk show, still keeping a lot of the same theme of the radio program. The first thing that is familiar, of course, would be the name. Instead of Parareality Radio, the show is simply now just called Parareality. I kicked around some different names here and there, but ultimately I wanted to stick with the familiar Parareality name, so I didn't have to try and get a new brand or a new name for a new show out there, and just drop the radio off. So the show is just simply Parareality, and it's going to be very much like the radio show. I'm going to keep with the same theme. I'm going to have guests on the show that maybe aren't as popular as some of the mainstream people in the paranormal field. More people who are ordinary, everyday walk of life people who maybe they've had an experience and they want to be able to tell it and they need a medium, or maybe some people who are breaking into the world of the paranormal, whether they have a documentary or a book or maybe even another radio or television show or whatever, and they just need a medium and outlet to get their word out there. So I'm going to keep with those same themes. Except it's not going to be a 2-hour-long show. It's just going to be a half-hour-long show. And I'm not going to be broadcasting on the weekends anymore. The radio show was the first and third Fridays of every month from 10 p.m. to midnight Central Time. And Parareality the TV show, is going to be broadcast during the middle of the week. It's going to be on a Tuesday. It's going to be every first and third Tuesday of the month, from broadcast at 8 o'clock Central Time. So from 8 to 8:30 Central Standard Time, the first and third Tuesday of the month, that's when the show is going to be. And I know people are saying, God, what the hell's wrong with you? You're doing a show in the middle of the week at 8 o'clock? That's early. Well, life just kind of has dictated right now that that's when the show, excuse me, I had to scratch my nose, that's when the show is going to be. So for the foreseeable future, Parareality will be broadcast the first and third Tuesday from 8 o'clock till 8:30 Central Standard Time. Now, one of the reasons, just to catch you up on what's been going on with me, one of the reasons that I decided to retire from radio was I think the show got to be too big. It was a little bit too much for one person to handle. I got a little bit ambitious with the show. If there's still anyone who listened to the radio show from the very beginning, and I do have a few people who actually listen to just about every show, every episode, you'll know that the show started out to be 1 hour. It was a 1 hour long show, and I couldn't fit everything that I wanted to into that show. It seemed like I just was running out of time. So then I bumped it up and had an hour and a half, a 90-minute show, and that was a little bit too weird with the scheduling. So ultimately I bumped it up another half hour from that, and I wound up with a 2 hour long show. And much like this TV show, the radio show was a one-man operation. I wrote, directed, produced the show. I put everything together for the show, the music. I had a news segment in the show. I had to look up news stories and put those together, find, report on those. I had to book the guests. I had to pre-screen the guests. I maintained a website, and I had to have all the information about every show and every guest and every news article on the website. I also sent out a monthly newsletter, and I had to put together that newsletter. I had to write the articles for that newsletter, and that, as a matter of fact, is the only thing that I had help with when it came to the show was the newsletter. And there are two individuals who helped me with that show. I want to thank both of you. You know who you are. And I want to thank both of you. The first one kind of wants to remain a little bit anonymous. We'll call her Kay. Well, why do we have to remain anonymous? Everyone knows who she is. Her name was Chris. She was instrumental in helping me with the newsletter, and the other person, Jasmine, helped me out as well. And without the two of you ladies, I couldn't have made the newsletter as interesting as what I did. So thank you to Chris and Jasmine. Chris and Jazz helped me out so much, and I appreciate the two of you helping me what you were able to on the newsletter. And as a matter of fact, Chris was president of the Parareality fan club. She just took it upon herself to start a fan club, and although I didn't really have anything to do with that, just marginally, that was still one more thing that I had to kind of put there on my plate. And while the show was a very popular and successful show, I mean, it was the number one rated talk show for its genre on the Live 365 network for 3 years. It was a little bit too much for me as one person to be able to handle. And by the time I realized that, I didn't think that it was fair to the fans of the show for me to scale back anything. I didn't think it was fair for me to cut the show in half and only do 1 hour, or maybe not do the newsletter, or maybe even only do 1 show a month. You know, I didn't feel like it was fair to the fans, and really the fans were what kept me going as long as what I did go, and kept, you know, the more good emails I got, the more good reviews I got, and the more recognition I got, the more successful I wanted the show to become, so the harder I worked. And it eventually began kind of taking over a lot of my personal life. Excuse me. And it got to be too much. It was a little overwhelming. So I had to do something, and I chose to just go into retirement. And when I signed off the air in December of 2008, it was really a sad time for me, because I really loved doing that show so much. It was so much, even though it was a lot of work, it was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much. But it was time. I just felt like the time was right. And when I signed off the air, I didn't know if I would ever return, or if I did, what medium. And so with what's left of the show tonight, and the show's almost halfway over, so this is kind of an idea for me on how fast 30 minutes is going to go. So with the remainder of the time tonight, I'm going to tell you how I got to where I am right now, and tell you a little bit about how this show is going to run. Well, I've already kind of done that. Much like the radio show, this is going to be a one-man operation. Not every show is going to be just me sitting here in front of the studio camera, but there will be several shows like that. Some shows I will have guests and in the studio, and we will be doing one-on-one interviews that way, excuse me. And some shows I will have guests, but they will not be in studio. It will be done remotely via a remote webcam. So the show is going to be interesting, and it's still going to be a one-man operation, just like the radio show. So it's going to be very interesting to see how I can manipulate the camera angles and move the cameras around and everything while I'm doing these interviews. I got to be really good at multitasking in the radio show, but it was a lot easier because you guys couldn't see what I was doing as I was doing it. Now you guys you're watching me. And I don't know how many of these shows really are going to be live. Some may be live. It may be 50-50. It may be none. They may all be pre-recorded. I really don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet, and I'll make my mind up on that shit as I go. And yes, I just said shit. It's the internet. I can say that if I want to. I try not to talk too dirty, though. I did let the colorful expletives fly every so often, especially when I was doing the news. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about how I got to where I am. One of the things that I did when I retired from broadcasting was I thought about writing a book, and actually sat down and started banging out some ideas for a book. But life sort of got in the way with that, and I just didn't feel like I had the necessary time to devote to a book like I should. So I never really got the book idea off the ground. But one of the things that I did do was shop an idea for a reality show around, starring, of course, yours truly. And the whole idea behind the show, I was going to call it Crypto Quest. And the whole idea behind the show was that it was going to be kind of a cross between Ghost Adventures and Monster Quest. And you're probably familiar with those two shows. The Ghost Adventure shows is where the three guys get locked in a supposedly haunted location, and it's just the three of them with their handheld cameras. And then Monster Quest investigated cryptozoological creatures. Well, my idea was kind of a marriage, if you will, between those two shows. And it was going to be myself and one or two other people with handheld cameras who investigated cryptozoological sightings, whether it be Bigfoot or the Honey Island Swamp Monster or the Dover Demon, the Jersey Devil, whatever, you name it. As far as cryptozoological creatures, we would go investigate it, and we would no big camera crews or anything like that following us around. We just have just us with our handheld cameras, and we would go investigate these areas overnight, and then use our findings, to try and scientifically prove or disprove or whatever we were out there looking for. So it was kind of it was a big undertaking as far as the way that I wanted to do it, what I wanted to do it with. And I shopped it around, and I actually had interest in the show and was probably about that close, if you can see how close that is on the camera, that close to me actually getting a deal and getting it signed. I had a TV production company that was really interested in it. Of course, we hit speed bumps in the road. The first speed bump was money. I was going to have to come up with some money to do the pilot episode, and of course, if it got picked up, then that would have been another thing. I could have recouped my money that way. But the second bump in the road was actually it had to be approved by the board of directors for the production company, and that's where it just kind of went. It died there on the boardroom table. They ultimately decided to not pursue that endeavor. I was never told the real reason why, but I think it has something to do with the fact that even though it was a reality TV show, which in general those are cheap to produce, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that would probably have been a little bit more expensive, than a little bit more money than what they were willing to put into it. So it got nixed. And it's kind of how I wound up here on internet television. Was I was telling somebody about it, and that person was like, "Hey, you can do it on the web, and you can do a web television show, and you can do it just like what you said, and you can be in control of it. And instead of having some production company and someone you don't know and who has no idea about anything in this field controlling everything." And this person wanted me to basically take CryptoQuest and put it on the web television here. And I got to thinking, I thought about it, I did consider it, and I was like, that's going to be a lot to do for one person. I'd have to have help. I'd have to have at least one other person to help me, and we couldn't pay any money, and we'd have to sink our own money into this to go and investigate places, and it just seemed too big of an undertaking and a little bit too expensive to do. So we nixed that idea, and it was decided to do just a half-hour talk show, kind of like the radio program, only in a more scaled-down version and just on TV. So that's kind of how I wound up here, and I am under obligation to do 2 seasons of Parareality, the television show. Each season will only consist of 6 episodes. Now, season number 1, which is beginning now, it's January, February, and March. The first and third Tuesdays, January, February, March. And then season 2 picks up in July, and it's July, August, and September. So you will see a grand total of 12 episodes of Parareality. Like I said, obligated to do 2 seasons. What happens after the second season is anyone's guess. If the show's popular, I may continue for a third or fourth season. If it's really big, I may have an hour-long show. I doubt that, but we'll see. I may choose to go into retirement again, or to totally do away with the television show and go back to radio. I really don't know. All I know for sure is I'm going to be here for 2 seasons, and you're going to see 12 episodes of me in 2011. So we'll see how that's going to go. And in the 8.5, might as well just say 8 minutes that I have left here in the show, I'm going to really quickly fill you in on what I've been doing besides shopping a reality show and mulling the idea of a book around. One of the things that I did was investigate do a couple of investigations. I did Waverly Hills twice, and I also, just this past September, investigated the famous and historic Jerome Grand Hotel in Jerome, Arizona. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the pictures that I got from my investigations. Now, the first pictures I'm going to show you are from the Waverly Hills investigations. And I don't know how well this is going to translate onto your computer screen, but I tried to do a few enhancements here. So very quickly, let me show you this first picture. What you're going to be seeing here is down one of the, I believe it's the third floor hallway. You're going to be seeing down the hall, and the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to see some things that look like orbs in the picture. Those are not orbs. Those are that's dirt or dust. But what I do want you to pay attention to, and I know you can see my mouse moving around, what I do want you to pay attention to is this red square right here. And I have a little arrow coming down, and right at the end of this arrow is, I don't know how well this is going to translate onto your screen, but there are these two red glowing eye looking things. And it's really, you have to look at it really, really hard. And I don't know what these things are. I didn't see them in the flash, and with the flash off, it was just, blackness. So there was nothing red glowing at the end of the hallway or anything like that. And I did have a flashlight and that I had shown down there, and there was nothing there. But yet when I took this picture, there were two red glowing eyes in the picture. Of course, I didn't see this until after we got back, and I uploaded it onto the computer. But I walked down this hallway after I took this picture, and there was nothing down there that could have had any type of reflection on it whatsoever. I don't know what that was, but it definitely was there in the picture. And the next thing I'm going to show you is this is just, actually this is on the same hall looking the other way. Nothing paranormal in that picture. It's just to kind of give you a reference point of where we were. Now, right here, this one is very easy. This is in one of the ends of one of the hallways in like a little terrace area. And you'll see I have this red arrow pointing up to this glowing orange light. Now, that light, it looks like, man, that would have, been bright enough where you could have seen it in the dark. Now, remember, the only light that you're seeing is just from the flash of the camera. And that red or orange glowing object was not there, once again, was not there whenever I took this picture. And there was nothing that it could have reflected this. I don't know what this was, but it wasn't there whenever I took the picture. So your guess is as good as mine as to what it could have been. And now this other picture right here is, once again, I don't know how this is going to translate on your computer screen, but I've tried to enhance it a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. Well, that's a zoom out. That was mine. Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in on this thing here. Where is it? Okay. There we are. Right here. Okay. Here's my arrow. There's my little red circle. right in the middle of this, right here where my outline is, this is what really freaked me out. Was I got this in more than one picture. Now, of course, you can see the flash right there from my camera, okay? But what is appearing in the glass pane is only what I can describe as a grinning skull. And I got this shot in 2 or 3 other pictures where it seemed like this grinning skull thing was following my investigative team around. This thing right here, I know it's very hard to see, but here is the outline of the skull right here. Eyes, eye hole, eye socket, whatever. There's where the nose would normally be, where you have the 2 nasal bones openings. And right here's the mouth. And it does appear like it has teeth in it. But it is in the shape of a skull. And that really, when I looked at these pictures, it really freaked me out. I mean, that was something that I was not expecting at all. As a matter of fact, I've got it again here in another picture. Once again, I don't know how well this is going to translate onto your TV screen, but right in here, and let me try to zoom in on this. Okay, there's my little red circle. There's the arrow right there. And here, once again, I can see it. You have to kind of look really closely. I don't know how well this will translate on your screen, but right here, here's my grinning skull again. It's not the whole skull. It's just kind of like maybe half, because it kind of cuts off right here. But there's half of a skull head right here. There's the forehead, the eye socket, where the nasal bones would be, and once again, the grinning mouth right there. And this was taken from one of the top floors looking down into one of the, I guess, wings of the sanatorium. I guess it would have been where they would have housed, there would have been like a lot of, it wasn't a private room, it was just like a big open area where they had a lot of people in there. But I got, 2 or 3 of those pictures where there's appears to be a grinning skull in a window or whatever. It's really, really freaky. Wow, I'm running out of time here. Real quick, I want to tell you about the Jerome Hotel. Here is a picture of the Jerome Grand Hotel. Don't know who this guy is. This is the Jerome Grand Hotel where I visited in Arizona and investigated. And here's another shot of the Jerome Grand Hotel. The room that I was staying in was on a floor that was supposedly haunted, and you could hear supposedly noises of wheelchairs or gurneys being pushed, sound of footsteps. I never did see anything at night while I was there. It was very disappointing, but in the day before I left, I took this picture of the room. Now, I did hear some unexplained noises. I can't say that they were paranormal, though, during the overnight investigation. But I did take a picture before I left the room, and there's this orb right here, circling it right here. It's very plainly an orb. See, once again, see if you can see it right here. Very plainly an orb right in the center of the room. Now, what makes that significant, and I'm going to run over my 30 minutes here, and that's fine. It's the first show. I'll deal with it. What makes that significant is the fact that it was on a supposedly haunted floor, and I did hear some strange, unexplained noises that I don't know what they were. And the very next thing that happened before I left was I was just going to different floors through the stairwells and just taking pictures of the floor. Now, well, no, this is not what I wanted to do. Okay. Okay, here we go. You have to forgive me. Now, as I was coming down the stairs, I was in a stairwell, and I wanted to see what the backside of the hotel, what kind of view they had. And it was really just a view of like 6 feet and then a rock wall. I mean, there was nothing to see. And I was standing there in the stairwell, and I was looking out the window, and I saw out of the corner of my eye a figure pass by. And it was very quickly. And it did not appear that it had legs. In other words, it was only visible from maybe three quarters of the way up, a little bit past the waist. And it just ran by real quickly. So, of course, I had my camera. And now this is the middle of broad daylight now. And I jumped down the last little few stairs and turned in the direction that this thing went. And lo and behold, what was there? There was nothing. There was only this door. And that was it. This was the direction that whatever I saw went. And it's a dead end. And I know you can't see it, but right here is a sign. I know you can see it, but you can't read it. And it says, "Notice, by the order of the Jerome Fire Chief, no persons may occupy the area beyond this point at any time." This is considered an unsafe area. They hadn't renovated this part of the hotel yet. As a matter of fact, I checked it. This door is locked. So whatever went by me, the only place it could have gone was either in a guest room, which it did not, or in that door, which it did not. At least if it was a person, it didn't, and it didn't go in a guest room. So I took a picture of the door. I took a couple of pictures of the door, and then I turned, and I took a picture down the hall, and I want to show you what I saw down the hall. This is the picture of me standing in front of that locked door, shooting down the hall. Now, you see the maid cart right down there. And what you see here is another orb. Interesting, because that was the direction which the object went. If you will look here, there's the exit sign. Right underneath that is the stairwell. Now, there was a room across from there, which I know the person or whatever it was I saw didn't go in there. There's a room here and a room here. Okay? And then there's a locked door. Didn't go in either one of these rooms. Didn't hear a door open or shut, and I was there too quick to not see or hear a door open or shut. So whatever this thing was went towards the door and disappeared somewhere. And it's just interesting that when I turn around and take a picture, I get a picture of an orb. And you know that I don't place a lot of emphasis on orbs, but I got two of them there, and it's just a little too coincidental for me to think that it was anything other than some sort of paranormal entity. And while I was in the Jerome area, we went to Sedona, and I did actually see a UFO with a little green man in it, and I did capture a picture of that, and I wanted to show you that right here. Here is my proof that there is extraterrestrial life. There is a UFO, an unidentified flying object, with a little green man in front of it. As you can see, I was extremely scared on that. Just a little humor there. So I'm going to run over 10 minutes over on the show this evening. So, first show, might as well do 40 minutes. What the hell, right? Getting back to the Waverly thing, I want to show you a couple more Waverly Hills pictures. Let's see here. What do we got for the Waverly Hills pictures? Oh, yeah, here we go. This is a good one. This is room 502 where the nurse hung herself. And this next one is down at the very end of the death tunnel. I walked all the way down to the end of this thing. Now, once again, I don't know how this is going to translate onto your screen, But you'll see right here, those are not orbs, that's rain. Okay, it was misting a little bit, but right in here, here's my circle, there's my arrow, right in here, off in the trees, is an object. It looks like someone standing, leg, outline of the body, head up here, and it looks like an arm on a hip or something right there. Once again, this was something that was not visible to the naked eye. I didn't notice this until we got, it's going to be hard for me to keep track of this. Didn't notice this until we got back and uploaded the pictures on the computer screen. And the very last thing that I want to show you before I sign off is a video that we got while we were at Waverly Hills. Now, you'll see it's a moving ball, and you'll see a ball move back and forth, and you'll hear me saying some things. And one of the things you'll hear is wind. And before you say, oh, it was the wind that was causing this ball to move, it was not, because I was standing outside shooting in. And the wind was blowing from my left to my right this way. And the ball is indoors, and it's moving back and forth. It's totally not the wind, but I want to show you this, and so you can kind of see it for yourselves. So here it is.
Come on, move the ball towards us. Come this way. Push it harder. It's trying its best to move. I've got mine on. Come on, move the ball. Push it, come on.
I think when it goes away from us, it's the wind.
That's the wind when it goes away. But what is it when it moves towards us? Okay.
The wind from there.
So that's my Waverly Hills ball moving thing. And we were discussing, you could probably hear it, discussing, was it the wind moving the ball towards us and away from us? And the general consensus was, after everything was all said and done, was we didn't think it was the wind, because the wind was blowing crossways and the ball was moving backwards and forwards. So here you go. Well, I'm way over time, and I'm going to go ahead and call it quits here. And I appreciate you guys tuning in for the very first ever Parareality, the television show. I'll be back in week after next, and I'll have hopefully I'll have a guest. I'm not going to say what's it's not confirmed yet, but hopefully I'm going to have my very first ever guest on Parareality, and going to be a good show. So thank you guys for tuning in and putting up with me and this, getting used to all this stuff and all the glitches and the stuttering and all that other sorts of stuff. I'm really overwhelmed. I feel a little overwhelmed here, as I have completely and totally run over time and run out of time. So this is going to be it. Might as well go ahead and show you the closing credits for the show. This is Sandman. Thank you for tuning in to Parareality. And remember, reality is only a matter of perception. I will see you guys in 2 weeks.